Alors, bonjour tout le monde, c'est Anne-Marie pour Diamond et j'aimerais vous dire bonjour, bonsoir et merci de vous connecter ce soir pour en fait, voir et vivre le travail de Hiba Ali. Donc, Hiba Ali qui est avec nous en résidence virtuelle. Donc, pour la première fois et surtout dans ce contexte de confinement, à Diamond, on a développé une première série de résidences virtuelles. Donc, la semaine dernière, c'était la fin avril, le 29 avril dernier, on a présenté le travail de Lee Jones, qui a fait un atelier d'electronic stitch, de e-stitching. C'est ce qu'elle a fait la semaine dernière. La semaine prochaine, donc le 13 mai, on va découvrir le travail de Blake Hargreaves. Mais cette semaine, le 6 mai, on présente le travail, la démarche de Hiba Ali, encore une fois dans le contexte des résidences virtuelles. Donc, on vous accueille ce soir. J'aimerais faire une petite entrevue avec Hiba, qui est avec nous présentement, tout simplement pour mettre son projet qui s'intitule All Living Workers Liberation as Environmental Justice. On va simplement mettre son travail en contexte. Elle va parler de son travail, de ses idées, de comment elle a approché son projet aussi pour nous faire une petite introduction. Donc, sachez qu'on va se parler en anglais. L'entrevue va se faire en anglais, mais prochainement, on va mettre les sous-titres en français aussi pour que tout le monde puisse bien suivre et bien comprendre. Il n'y aura pas de traduction simultanée. So, Iba, hello.
Hi.
So, for our viewers right now, I would like to invite you to say a few words about you and about your research and your art practice in general.
Sure. Yeah, my thanks for having me here. And I'm just going to review a bit about my practice and what kind of drew me to this project. I've been doing research and making art that thinks about circulation and networks, both digital and physical, since about 2016. With 2018 being the time that I got interested in Amazon, because I'd made work about shipping containers and satellites and thinking about how networks work both on land and in the sky. And I kept thinking about what's the most contemporary way of manifestation of global circulation that led me to think about that come upon Amazon. And when I started learning about Amazon, I became intensely fascinated because not only is it a bookstore, it's also a shipping hub, but it's also a place that has the cloud, has data through AWS. And so this and has become such a big business throughout these past years with tax write-offs and all of these sort of institutions that allow the company to get so big. And so this particular aspect about labor and surveillance became really, really interesting to me, because right now with the warehouse workers that work in these spaces that ship our boxes to us. I actually worked as a warehouse worker before I moved to Canada from Texas because I needed to save money. I was like one of those precarious workers. And the ways in which the company underpays its workers, so by not giving paid time off, or giving very little paid time off, by not giving adequate wage, by having people live to work instead of work to work to live, this whole idea, and the ways that it underinvests in labor, it reinvests that money it saves by not paying its workers in surveillance technology. So it's not as widely known, but Amazon Web Services is cloud service. It hosts the information for ICE. So a lot of what's happening at the U.S.-Mexico border, the incarceration camps, that's what Amazon is helping build through ICE and through scraping immigrants' data. So this company became really fascinating to me because of the ways in which it practices this kind of necropolitics where workers being paid really less and being hurt while at the job, the money that's saved by not paying their pensions and giving adequate wages, this money, this amassed wealth that the CEO has, is then reinvested in these surveillance technologies. So this is a source of fascination for me, that I'm mapping out the contemporary ways in which capitalism works. And so that's currently my research focus. And I particularly am interested in thinking about how women of color and women are affected by working in these spaces.
This is amazing because right now with the confinement in this period is such a I want to say, un sujet très actuel. Amazon is at the center to a lot of purchases right now, so it's a lot to think about. So with your project, you're dealing with totalitarian surveillance, false equity, and predatory labor practices. So you're dealing with those subjects, but one thing that, as you make clear in your statement and through your ideas, is that you think that right now, in the era we're living in, it's important to actively imagine new worlds outside the capitalist structures. So how, for you, and how do you hope for viewers, artworks like you did on the web or with digital tools can help us and help you as an artist to imagine those new worlds?
Yeah, so with digital media and digital technology, we can think about, the ways in which the computer is built and its history and the kind of different wars and really really awful labor practices that have created this technology. And at the same time, we can also take these ideas and think about imagine these spaces beyond what we have right now. And it's really important to do that, and using digital media, think about these things, because through virtual spaces and digital spaces, we can create things that might not exist in real life. And as we'll see in the video, that there's a space being created in the 360 video that they can't happen in real life in the same way. And so with thinking about this, like, we don't really know, but our imagination is informed by capitalism. It's inculcated in the ways we live our lives. Everything has a cost, everything has a value. It's almost like this invisible limit on our imagination that we can only imagine within this time frame and in the now. And the question becomes, like, can we even imagine a world without Amazon? Can we not imagine a world where people are being abused, workers are being abused, people are dying due to being abused at work and not getting enough wages? And then becomes a larger question, is that it is totally possible to have and not be a utopia, but because there'll always be issues, but it's totally possible to have a world where people are being paid equitable wages. And just think about, I'm from the US, but I also have connection to Canada as well. But in the US, we can't even imagine a world where we have universal health insurance. And here in Canada and other places, there's universal health insurance. And so thinking about what is actually possible is the limit of our imagination, right? Thinking about the ways in which inequity happens, both gender, race, class, those questions test the limit of our imagination. Because why can't there be a world where people are paid properly? Why can't there be a world where we are not, destroying nature and the climate? And so that's why, for me, especially with this project, it was really important to think about what does imagining outside of the capitalist realm look like, and how is that possible? And there's not going to be, a direct line, like, here we're capitalist and here we're less oppressive or a different space. There's going to be many things happening and at the same time in different spaces, and it's important to tune in and support these different waves and these different movements that come up. And that's where digital technology and thinking about connecting over the internet, all these mutual aid networks that started during COVID and continue to do so is super duper important for us to consider, because it activates our imagination in a way that's outside of, normative ways of being.
And so you talk about this world, imagining the world through the digital world itself. So there's a sense of criticism, but enthusiasm about it. So you have your ideas, but with your project tonight, what we'll experience, you give us us as viewers, you give us agency into the work. We can navigate. So can you tell us a little bit more precisely how, as viewers, we can navigate in the project tonight?
Sure. So the project is a 360 video, and I wanted to use this medium because it gives you a nice, like, worldview, for lack of a better term. So it's not just a still, like, frame, it's a whole kind of worldview. And so that's why it was really interesting to me to think about, well, if it's from this sort of like capitalist mode or this production mode, or so you're able to navigate this video on Facebook through your screen. So you can like click on the video itself and shift it with your mouse. If you see the video on your phone, you're able to physically move your phone around and the video will turn. So it's kind of like a window into a different space.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Hiba. It's very exciting for us to be able to see your world and your project tonight. So I'm just going to repeat the title of your project. So it's All Living Workers Liberation Environmental Justice. So it's going to be on tonight, but it's going to stay online for a few days at least. So people, if they don't enter the YouTube 3D link tonight, they'll be able to view it in the following days at least, and maybe more than that afterwards. So thank you very much. Merci à tous d'avoir écouté Hiba Ali. Donc, on vous invite à tout simplement cliquer sur les liens qui sont sur la page Facebook pour entrer le projet de Hiba Ali. So thank you, Hiba.
You're welcome, and I hope you enjoy.